Okay, here we are. We did chapters 5 through 7 last time, so we'll do 8 through 12 here. On a ruined bridge, a boy, at least a head taller than me, though just as skinny as Muthu, was walking up the bridge. He had a wild mop of red tinged black hair. A sack was slung across his shoulder, and he held a stick that was much sturdier and longer than Muthu's. "Who are you?" the tall boy said. "Who are you?" I said, drawing myself up to full height. "I told you," Muthu said. "He's the big boss." "What are you doing on our bridge?" the boy said. "Your bridge? Why didn't you build a better one? Like that?" I pointed to the newer bridge. Cootie trotted over, sniffed at the tall boy's bare feet, and then wagged his tail. "Ruku, you gave the tall boy a warm grin and poked yourself in the ribs and then jabbed me. Fiji!" "I'm a rule." He flashed you a smile and then tried to look all stern. "We live here." "So do we," I said. "Get out," Rule said so weakly that I guessed he was just putting on a show of protesting because Muthu was watching. "We're already outside, in case you haven't noticed." I waved at the starry sky above and the twinkling river below. "And I don't need your permission to sleep here. It's not like you inherited this from your dad." "Get your own tarp," he said. It was as good as a yes. "You're going to let them stay, Rule?" Muthu said. "We're staying." I gave him a smug smile. "No letting about it." Arul tickled Cootie behind the ears and then disappeared into his tent. Muthu crawled in after him. I found a relatively rubble-free patch of ground and spread out our sheet. Not that it made the ground any softer. "Amma," you said, and looked all around us as though our mother might pop out of the river and fly up through a hole in the bridge. "Amma." I put my arms around you, but you kept crying her name. Cootie snuggled up to you, and you clutched one of his paws. He didn't seem to mind. Hugging him close, like you used to hug your doll, you finally lay down on our sheet. "Story?" Maybe hearing the familiar words would help take your mind off of Amma and my mind off the bumpy ground. Not wanting the boys to overhear, I lowered my voice to a whisper. "Once upon a time, two sisters ruled a magical land." "Viji and Ruku," you put in. "Yes, us. We used to be princesses, the two of us. We slept on soft pink pillows in a beautiful palace. Every morning, we'd wake to the sound of birds singing and the sight of peacocks dancing. White lotuses shone bright as stars in the lake at the center of our green garden. From this lake, a silver stream slipped out beyond our palace gates to the rest of their kingdom. No one in our kingdom was ever thirsty because everyone could drink from the sparkling stream, and no one in our kingdom was cruel. Grown-ups never fought. Every child had all the dolls and toys they ever wanted." "Dolls," you echoed. I was afraid you'd ask for Maripachi again, but you didn't start fussing. Every morning, you made beautiful bead necklaces, and I read you stories. We had hundreds and hundreds of books. Every afternoon, we rode horses that could gallop so fast we felt like we were flying. Usually, I told you more about our horses or the wonderful fruits that grew in the orchard, but that evening, I changed the story and added a new part. One day, an angry demon cast a spell over our kingdom. Plants withered, the birds stopped singing, and the stream dried up. The demon tried to catch us, but we ran away and found a place. This new place where he can't find us. We won't stay here forever. When we're older and stronger, we'll leave. Together, we'll fight the demon and break his curse and return to our lost kingdom, where we'll be princesses again. Viji and Ruku, I finished. Always together. "Viji and Ruku together?" you asked. "Always. Viji and Ruku," you repeated. "Always together." We had no roof or walls to keep us safe, and that probably should have worried me more, but you seemed content. You pointed at the sky. "Look, Viji, no roof means we get the best view of the pretty stars, right, Ruku?" I said. "Pretty," you agreed. We lay shoulder to shoulder and watched the stars sparkle while Cootie slept beside us. Your eyes sparkled too, and the light inside them pierced through my fog of worry. Chapter 9. Laughter. A cool breeze rose from the river, waking me and rifling the edges of my skirt. My stomach growled like a starving tiger. At home, the two of us would have been up making breakfast. We'd been poor, but at least we always had something to eat. When you woke, I knew you'd be hungry too. Maybe we could go to the tea shop and ask if we could work there again. Cootie woke with a snort. He snuffled at your face until you sat up. You murmured. It's just us, remember? Go home now, VG? We live here now, Ruku. Our own place, like in our story. Palace. Kind of. We rule ourselves here, so it's as good as being princesses. You lifted your head high and surveyed the ruined bridge like a princess. Down by the river bank, people were bathing. I spotted the boys at the river's edge. From our bundle, I grabbed a change of clothes and our toiletries, towels, and water bottle. We walked down to the water and Cootie at our heels. Up close, the river was not beautiful. It looked more gray than silver. We watched Arul dive off a rock, his heels kicking an old cardboard carton that bobbed past. With a joyful yip, Cootie splashed in, then ran back out to greet Muthu, who was still standing on the rock. Muthu laughed as Cootie shook his coat, sending a shower of droplets into Muthu's face. Now I don't need to wash, he said. That was thoughtful. What a thoughtful dog you are. Good dog, you agreed. Ruku's dog. Want to come for a swim? Muthu grinned at you. The water's nice and cool. No, I said. Ruku can't swim. Let her have some fun. Arul was wading to the shore. We won't take her where it's deep. Muthu cupped some water and let it dribble down your back. You giggled and slid into the river with all your clothes on. Don't worry, Arul said. We'll see that she's safe. You splashed one another for a while, ignoring the litter that floated by. Cootie swam around you in circles. If you hadn't been enjoying yourself so much, I would probably have dragged you out. Part of me was irritated that you'd gone right ahead to bathe with the boys without me. But then, it was the first time I'd seen you make friends so easily. It was a nice change after years of meeting kids who'd been kind or warm, who hadn't been kind or warm to either of us, except Subu, whom Arul resembled a little. Want some soap? I asked the boys. None for me, Muthu said. I smell good enough already. But Arul thanked me, and I waded into the water, and we started washing ourselves and the clothes that we were wearing. We got out of the water, and I gave one of the boys our towels, and Arul accepted it gratefully, though Muthu said he preferred to dry off in the sun. Behind a bush, you and I peeled off our clothes and changed into the dry skirts and blouses I'd brought. With our fingers, we scrubbed tooth powder on our teeth and rinsed it off with the last of the water left in our plastic bottle. Back at the bridge, I wrung out our wet clothes and towels and weighed them down with stones to dry in the sun. Hungry, you announced. Sorry, I don't have anything. We'll have to go find something. No banana? No, sorry. Papaya? You suggested? No. Guava? No. No pomegranate, no jackfruit, no oranges, no sapotes, no sweet limes, nothing. No, 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 you repeated faster and louder, more annoyed each time. No, 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 no. Muthu joined in. You stopped staring at him. Let's sing together, Ruku, he said. No, no, no. Cootie lifted his nose in a musical howl. Ooh! No! You laughed and clapped your hands. No! No! I'd seen you laugh before, but never quite like this. This was the first time you'd broken into a laugh halfway through a tantrum, and the first time you laughed without hiding your mouth behind your hands, as if you were scared to be happy. Now you threw back your head the way Muthu was doing, as the three of you howled away like a pack of jackals, hungry and homeless though we were, I felt I'd done the right thing by leaving. Chapter 10. Unwelcome. The city was waking up as we walked toward the tea shop. Women were busy in their everyday routines, drawing columns to decorate their ground before their houses. At one home, you stood entranced as a woman showed a girl how to let rice flour fall evenly through her fingers to make the patterns with smooth white lines. The tea shop man was pouring frothy glasses of chai when we arrived. You wanted to walk back to the kitchen, but I stood waiting for the man to notice me. If we showed him what polite, hard-working girls we were, surely he'd let us work for him again. Maybe pay us money this time. "Go away!" he shouted. I looked behind us to see who he was shooing. "You!" he yelled. "Get that dog away from my shop." "It's a good dog," I began, but the man shook his fist at us. Cootie growled. I picked him up and held his squirming body tight. "Auntie!" you cried. Sure enough, Tea Shop Auntie opened the kitchen door a crack. She beckoned. We took the long way around the shop, and I set Cootie down. He settled his head on his forepaws and closed his eyes. Auntie let us back in the back door with a slightly frightened smile. "You said Ruku likes beads?" My irritation at her asking me instead of you vanished when she thrust a bulging bag into my hands. Inside the bag was a beautiful collection of jewel-toned beads, as well as some with neatly knotted bundles of twine. "Thanks," I breathed. "Look at what Auntie gave us, Ruku." You were dazzled by the rainbow of color as I was. You settled down on the floor of the shack at once and started making a necklace. "Fiji, if you can watch the stove, maybe I could quickly show your sister some bead tricks." "Of course, Auntie." She sat with you, showing you ways to tie pretty knots and braid strands together. Every now and then, she shot a worried look toward the door, but Tea Shop Man didn't bother us. You were so happy, I felt reluctant to leave, but after a while, my worry took over, and I told you we had to go find a job. I refilled our water bottle, and Tea Shop Auntie pressed a plastic bag with bananas and vadis into my hands. "No, Auntie, you already gave us too much." "Don't argue with your elders," she insisted on giving me something else, a raincoat. It belonged to my daughter. Her eyes flicked across the picture of the young girl next to the picture of the goddess. Gave away most of her things when she died, but this was new, and I just couldn't part with it until now. "Thanks, Auntie." I tried to squeeze all my gratitude into those small words. As we left, the tea shop Auntie walked outside with us. "Try your luck there. It's where the rich people live." She pointed at the distant temple tower rising above the forest buildings. "Maybe someone will want a maid," she said. "But don't be too trusting. The world's not always a kind place for two poor girls like you." The back alley wasn't as deserted as it had been the day before. A girl dressed in rags pawed the hem of my skirt as we walked by. "Give me something," she whined. "I have to look after my brother. See him?" She gestured at a small boy, stark naked, who was sleeping behind her. Had they been runaways too? "Kasukundaga aka," she wailed. "Give me some coins, sister." "I don't have any money," I said. It was almost true. "Money." You patted the money pouch at my waist. I shouldn't have lied. You never did. "We have no money to spare, Ruku." Your eyes welled up as you gazed into the girl's tear-stained face. Okay. I untied the drawstrings, but before I could take a coin from the pouch, the girl's bony fingers clamped tight on it, and she yanked it out of my grasp. "No, that's everything we have." The girl scampered out of reach, her bare heels disappearing as she turned the corner, her brother forgotten. Cootie yipped and darted after her, but I called him back. Even if I'd felt less tired, I couldn't have chased the girl with such a pitiful voice and such haunting eyes. And besides, our money wouldn't have lasted much longer anyway. We needed a job. I looked for work with a few of the tiny shops that we passed on our way to the temple, roadside shacks selling brightly colored clothes and cheap saris, fruit stalls humming with flies, a fragrant flower shop near the temple where two little girls sat weaving garlands of jasmine. I saw more people that day than I'd seen in our whole lives, but nobody noticed us. We were in plain sight, but we were invisible. Chapter 11. Orange. Sweat was rolling down our backs, plastering our blouses to our skin when we finally reached the temple. It was a quiet part of the city, with tree-lined avenues and large houses surrounded by walls. One wall had bits of broken glass set into the concrete on top, so no one could climb over it without shredding their palms. Pretty, you said, reaching for the multicolored shards through which the sunlight skipped. Pretty. No, Rukuawa! Near the temple, we found a house set in the middle of a sprawling garden. I could spot every kind of fruit tree: mango, coconut, banana, jackfruit, even a short orange tree. The wall was low enough to look over, and it bore a sign with the house's name, Lakshmi Ilyam. Look, Ruku, these people are so rich, they have time to choose a name for their house, I said. They must want even more money, too, because they've named their house after the goddess of wealth. Kuti ran up the wrought iron gate, which swung open invitingly. Our feet crunched on the gravel path leading to the front door. We'd only taken a few steps when an old man picking oranges called out, "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" He looked us up and down, and I'd wished I'd smoothed my hair and skirt before entering the compound. "I'm looking for work, sir." "Beggars!" He waved a fruit at us. "Get lost!" "We're not begging," I said angrily. "I just told you, I'm looking for work. I can do housework and..." "You think rich people are going to give you jobs if you wander into their compounds with a mangy dog tagging along?" the old man said. "I'm the gardener here. Let me tell you what they'll do. They'll call the police. That's what." "Police?" "Yes," he said, "so keep out." A noise came from the shed at the end of the driveway. To my surprise, a car drove out. "House," you pointed. "House for cars?" "It's called a garage," the gardener said. The car pulled up to the front door of the mansion, and the woman in sequin-studded sari stepped out. A girl in a lacy white dress skipped out from behind her. "Look," she cried, "what a cute doggie." "Get out!" The gardener shook his fist at us like he'd been trying to chase us away. "Stay away from that dog, Prabha," the woman said. "It's a stray." I took your hand and walked briskly out the gate. Something whizzed by my head. I ducked, shocked. The gardener would go so far as to throw a stone just to keep up his pretense. The object landed with a thud. It wasn't a stone. It was an orange. I looked back, wondering if I should thank him, but the gate clanged shut. "Might as well eat it. It's not big enough to share with the boys," I mused. You smiled. We sat in the shade of the gnarled tree. Kuti settled his head on his forepaws and watched us. I gave you the orange. "Ah," you murmured, cradling it in your hands as if it were the most beautiful thing ever. You ran the tips of your fingers across the waxy peel. You turned it around and around as if it looked different from every different angle. "Ah," you repeated. You raised the orange to your nose and took a long sniff, and then gave it to me. I took the orange and turned it around, just as you had. It glowed like a small, pale sun. I felt its weight, its perfect ripeness. Not too soft, not too firm. I breathed in the citrus scent. I started to peel it, noticing things I'd never noticed before. How the leathery peel isn't colored the same all the way through. How the papery sections inside feel like leafy veins. How the pulp is shaped like raindrops. When at last I placed a section in my mouth, I could hear it burst as my teeth met the flesh, squeezing the juice out onto my tongue, tart at first, then sweet. Everything else melted away except for the taste, the smell, the feel of the fruit on my tongue. I ate the fruit slowly, the way you like to do things. Until then, I thought it was a sad thing that you were sometimes slower than the rest of us. But that day, I realized that slow can be better than fast. Like magic, you could stretch time out when it needed it, so that a moment felt endless, so the taste of half an orange could last and last.